The call to the honourable member for Hume.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Under Labor's budgets to date, the typical Australian household with a mortgage is more than $35,000 worse off.
Shame.
Why is the Prime Minister spending $13.7 billion on tax credits for billionaires at a time when ordinary Australian battlers are struggling to make ends meet?
Give the call to the Treasurer.
Mr Speaker,
the member for Groom.
Mr Speaker, spare us the questions about billionaires when those opposite called for an election because we wanted to give Gina Rinehart a $4,500 tax cut instead of a $9,000 tax cut, and the Leader of the Opposition was so furious on behalf of his mate that he called for an election over the changes that we made to the tax cuts in January of this year, Mr Speaker. I mean, spare us the faux outrage. Spare us the faux class warfare over there, Mr Speaker. They've had a lot to say about class warfare in the past. And this just goes to the shambolic response that we have seen to the budget last night, Mr Speaker. They're casting around for all kinds of excuses to oppose energy bill relief like they voted against it last time, Mr Speaker. They're looking around for all kinds of excuses to prevent the renewable energy superpower ambitions of this country being realised in the years and the decades ahead, Mr Speaker. Now, this is now two questions that the member for Hume has asked the Prime Minister, and it's hard to work out, Mr Speaker, which one was worse. I mean, the first one, which quoted hundreds of billions of dollars in spending, inadvertently contained that spending contains the indexation of the age pension, for example. So the member for Hume thinks the indexation of the age pension is overspending. And now, Mr Speaker, in this question, he is all of a sudden, in his question, Mr Speaker.
Pause. I want to hear from the member for Hume on a point of order.
Relevance, Mr Speaker. The question was about billions for billionaires. Will you answer the question?
The order. I want to make sure. The member for Lingiari is warned. It's not the time to interject when I'm dealing with a point of order. That continues. People won't get warned. The question contained relief for billionaires when average Australians are worse off. That was the question. Just going to make sure if the Treasurer is comparing and contrasting spending for billionaires when average for. So just going to make sure he's relevant and make sure he's doing the compare and contrast to that part of the question and not straying into other matters.
Well, first of all, I remind the House again that those opposite called for an election over the changes to the tax cut, which provided a tax cut for every taxpayer. Secondly, I haven't been here that long, Mr Speaker. I've been here long enough to remember when they used to believe in tax breaks to incentivise business investment, but they seem to have turned their back on that, and again, evidence of the shambolic approach that they've taken. Thirdly, if they want to talk about battlers, Mr Speaker, it's a very good day for them to ask that question. I want to tell you why. A couple of hours ago, we got new data on the wage price index, didn't we? And we got new data on the wage price index which showed that real wages in annual terms are growing by 0.5%, and we complain that. And we compare.
Mr Hume has asked his question. Order. Members on my left will cease. The member for Deakin will cease objecting.
Yeah, it's not funny. He's funny, and the reason he's funny. The reason he's funny, Mr Speaker, is because when we came to office, real wages were falling by 3.4%. They are now growing again for the first time in years, and that's because this Prime Minister and this government want people to earn more and keep more of what they earn, and those opposite want people to work longer for less.